relationships and finally pulling the trigger to break up. How do you do it? Mentally, I mean, not like physically. Roll it. All right, I had an email come in from somebody who didn't want me to read out the email, but they asked me to make a YouTube video out of it after I responded to them back and forth, and they wanted me to really reflect on my thoughts because they think it could be helpful with people. And their question was really, how do I leave a relationship? How do I make that decision? And how do I get myself back to being me? Because they don't feel like they have been them. If I said that correctly. They don't feel like they're them. And they want to go back to who they were, and they think that the relationship really affected their mentality and who they, their values and who they stand to be. I found it quite interesting. So here we go. When you're about to leave your relationship and you are questioning it, that questioning needs to be addressed, and you have to ask yourself, where is that coming from? And if it's coming from a place of fear, which most likely it is, we need to address why that fear is there. If we don't address it, then you're just going to be moving in limbo. And this is what people technically always do. They're worried about the next phase, what's going to happen next, and they don't want to leave a relationship, even if it's abusive, even if it's just not healthy, bad, it's just not what they want. They stick around. If you're feeling this because of something that's occurring or your personal needs and wants aren't being addressed, so it's not really a place of fear, but you know the relationship is good and you really want it to continue, however, you have other things that you need to address personally and you can't do it while you're in a relationship, that's another question or another idea altogether. So you need to look at both. Is it from you, like from a place of self-love and needing to grow, or is it from a place of fear? So to tackle fear first, I'll make a separate video for each one because it's very interesting. The topic's very interesting and it's really extensive when we get into the details of it. I think I could shoot video for about a year talking about this stuff. To bring it to perspective of what you need to do when you're in a relationship, we have to look at it from, what's the emotion coming out. So that fear that we have is really the culprit in most cases. When we're scared to move on, we get stuck in this routine and in this rut, and we stick around waiting for the other person to finally say, okay, we're done. And that's just not healthy. It doesn't help with the situation. So to combat that fear, it's to really write down everything that is good in the relationship, everything that's bad in the relationship, and the reality of the future and what's going to happen if this person is no longer there. Doing that will put things into perspective for you, because you'll be able to see what's happening now and what's happening in the future. And this is something that, I would say write it all down, come back to it in a week, see if it's changed at all, or maybe your thoughts are different, or and really look at what emotional state you were in, and then look at it another way when your emotional state is more stable. Secondly, what we want to do from there is do a check-in with ourselves and ask ourselves, have we done enough? Now, this is critical. We have to ask ourselves, have we done enough? Have we gotten to the level where we've achieved all the aspects of the relationships that we thought we would give it? And have we actually done and tried enough? If we've achieved that milestone, and yeah, I've tried everything with this person, but I'm not getting the happiness I want, you're never gonna get it. It's not gonna just switch on one day. Okay, it's just gonna always be like that. And to put this into perspective, it's kind of like when you have a business partner or a tennis partner or a golfing partner or whatever, and that person, you want them to get better, but they just stop trying and they're not playing anymore. They're not hitting the ball over the net. Nothing's occurring. They're never gonna get better, and we've all dealt with that. We've had business partners, and if you play tennis or any kind of sport, there's always somebody that you're teaming up with that is just not committed, not there, and they're not going to change. You can keep trying all you want. They're not going to change. This is why when we meet certain people, they stick around for a while, and some don't stick around at all, because that connection is there, and that same motivated movement forward is there for whatever mutual need. The point is that you keep moving forward, and you're with somebody that wants to change, wants to grow, wants to be there. They want to try. If you've done everything and that's not coming out, the question then begs, how do you convince yourself that it's never going to happen? And how do you put in your set of values first before their values? We've all had that kind of experience with somebody. And now the question begs, how do we get moving and making the right decision? How do we know we're making the right decision? If you take the time to write everything down of what everything looks like right now and after the breakup, you're also going to want to write down what it's looking like and how good do you think it's going to get. If it's not looking like it's going to get any better and it's going to sit there and stalemate, now you have another kind of the where you should be going and direction of that breakup. You write all this down and you do your final try, and you write down especially what you want to see. You list everything off. You don't want to just put it in your mind. You list everything off, and you move forward with it. You tell the other person you're with, hey, this is how I feel right now. This is what's happening, and I've tried, but nothing's changing. Do you want to give it more of a try? And they should, if they love you and they want to be with you, they should make an effort to address the needs you have. If they're not making that effort, well, I think you know the answer right away. However, if they do want to make the effort, you've now written everything you need to see, and you give it a time period. So you say, at this time, it's a cutoff date. If I don't see a new pattern emerge, and I'm not saying once or twice it changes, if you don't see that pattern emerge, well, I think it's time to say your confidence is ready to say, hey, I gotta move on and take that leap into the abyss, and know that somebody's gonna be there that wants and cares about me and wants to help me get the needs I need out of a relationship. This will occur once you put that timeline in and you've addressed it, you've announced it, and they say they're gonna put the effort in, then you'll see that movement, and it's either gonna get better and the relationship will get better as you progress with that, and then you won't have to talk about this to me or anybody else, or it's going to get to the point where you're going to come back to the drawing board and say, all right, I think I'm ready, I'm going to do it. How do I get my mindset straight to do it? So I started with that scenario because this feeds off on the same manner. You're going to do the same things if you are doing this because of own personal need to grow, your own self-love. It's when we realize, and the description of this is really, it's when you realize you want to start doing new things, and you found some kind of a new passion, new love for life, and the other person just doesn't want to entertain the idea. They like status quo. They don't want to change. They don't want to move into a new realm of happiness, and they don't want you to be happier than them. They don't want you to change this happiness that exists. So now, addressing all these issues is all coming from a place of what I need and want, once again. And you gotta ask yourself, what's the biggest issue that arises from this? And that usually tends to be a little thing called, I feel selfish. I feel selfish doing this. And I got kids, I got family, I got, coworkers, and I got this person that, loves me, but they don't want to see me grow, but I need to be a little bit selfish here, but I don't like that feeling. And that's the biggest thing we often see is, what if I feel selfish? I feel like I'm giving up on somebody, and I should get them motivated to like what I'm doing, or I need to take care of my family first, so I can't really go do that, but that's what I really want because I am miserable and I hate how my life is moving. And that's kind of like, how do we create an environment to see you succeed in the things that you want changed in? And it comes back to the same thing. This is what I have right now. I've listed it off, and I've listed off what it would be like without that person in my life. And we have to address this issue from a mindset of it's real. And now again, this is coming from somebody who's thinking about breaking up when they know they have a good thing with this relationship, but it's on a personal level, it's not there. And because they want to grow, and the other person doesn't want to assist in that. The communication is key in both situations, and we got to look at the communication and ask ourselves, have we communicated? Write everything down. Make sure you're emotionally stable when you're doing it, not when you're really upset and just had a big fight or you just had a moment. And you gotta be stable with it. And this is why I say write it down, leave it for a week, come back to it, maybe a month, keep coming back to it. And then now that you have this big picture, you address the situation by making the announcement, talking to your partner, saying, hey, this is how I feel, I need to do this, how do we do this together? And if that person doesn't want to do it, well, you know your answer. And if that person doesn't want to change in any way, or be in that stage where they want to participate in you getting what you need, you know your answer. And if they say yes and the pattern emerges, then great, your answer is done. You don't have to worry about it. But if the pattern goes back to being status quo and you're back in that miserable state, then I think we have our answer. Confidence on doing what you need to do for you will build by putting evidence on the table and saying to yourself, I did everything I could. And when you leave from it, that little thing called regret won't come after you. And I think that is one of the biggest fear factors, because both things relate back to fear. It's the regret. Am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing this? We wouldn't have these questions if that insecurity didn't exist. So really think it through on what it is you want to achieve, the end goal, and then look at how you can make the changes and do that final try. Give it all you got so that regrets won't come in later on. You've written everything down, and when they do creep up because the new thing isn't working, you'll know why you did it. And then you won't have that feeling of that awful regret and why did I do this, and it won't bring you back to that person like so many times we see people break up and go back. This is probably one of the most well-worked things I see people execute, and they see good results. There are other ways, of course. I'll do others in other videos, but this is one of the major ones. Seeing it right on the paper and saying, I'm gonna give it that last try. I really need to see this. I'm not getting what I need out of the relationship, and do it. And trust me, it takes time. Like, I'm guilty of not doing it. And being in a relationship for way too long. I'm guilty of it in business. For personal relationships, you name it. Everybody goes through it. You're not alone. If you're going through this right now, you're not alone. Structure it. Do a trial run maybe, if you may, and maybe do the next one after, the real one, or just do a real run for it. Give it all you got, and I think those emotions will come too, and that emotional control will come out of it, and you'll be able to make the right decision for you. Give it a shot. Let me know how it goes. Let me know what you think about this topic and what other things you've seen with other people. Comment below, like, and of course, subscribe.